Yo, what is good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. This is Richie, and the New York Knicks finally get a victory. They snap their 3-game losing skid and defeat the San Antonio Spurs on the road with the final score of 121-109. RJ Barrett absolutely explodes, gives us a career night, 7 3-pointers, and finished 7 for 8 from downtown with 32 points. Great to see RJ Barrett break out of his slump because I knew it was going to happen eventually. It's only a matter of when. And then Mitchell Robinson had a phenomenal game coming off the bench. Julius Randle had a slow start, but he finished off strong. And this is a great victory overall for the team. The Knicks needed this one. We were down 3 straight. We're 1 game below 500. We're now on a little 3-game road trip, and we take care of business in our first game on the road against the Spurs. This was a phenomenal dub for the New York Knicks. In this video, I want to give you guys my thoughts about everything I saw tonight related to the New York Knicks victory over the Spurs. So guys, if you're new to the channel, please make sure you smash that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. And if you guys want to check me out over on Instagram and Twitter, that is at nyknicks_media. And if you enjoyed the video, please do not forget to thumbs it up. With that being said, let's get right into this recap. So starting off, man, the first quarter, we were tied 28-28 after 1. You know that the San Antonio Spurs are a very young, pesky team. Greg Popovich, this is the youngest team he's ever coached in his career with the San Antonio Spurs. But this Spurs team, just because they're 8-14 going into the season, does not mean I was taking them lightly, and I'm sure Knicks fans were not as well. The Spurs actually beat the Golden State Warriors at home a couple games ago, and they were right there at the end against the Phoenix Suns last night. So this team was not going to be an easy team to beat. They're young, they're pesky, they got really good players. Murray is a phenomenal young piece that they got. He did not really do anything tonight against us, luckily, but the Knicks held their ground, especially in the first half. I feel like the Knicks stayed in pace. After 1, we were tied 28-28, and then the third quarter, the bench unit really looked good. Mitchell Robinson, this first game of the season of him coming off the bench, Tom Thibodeau continues to make some rotation changes. He continuously, is trying to find the right players that fits the system together, who plays the best together on the court, because that's been the missing component of this Knicks season so far, is chemistry, togetherness, and who's that really good rotation out there. And Thibodeau's still trying to figure that out so early on in the season, and he decided to go with Nerlens Noel as a starting center, and then Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench. And hey, Mitchell Robinson probably had one of his best games of the season, so maybe that's Mitchell Robinson's new role, and that's not a bad thing. Just because Mitchell Robinson is coming off the bench does not mean that he's not going to play any more less minutes. I'm pretty sure he even had more minutes than Nerlens Noel tonight. Let me just double check on that. Noel had 25 minutes, Mitch had 22 minutes. Okay, so it was pretty evenly spread. It wasn't like Nerlens was a starter and he got all the minutes. Mitch did his thing tonight, and this was just an overall great matchup for the Knicks going up against a pesky young Spurs team. The first half, we held our ground. We had a 6-point lead going into half, but then the third quarter, we had probably the best third quarter of the season so far for the Knicks. We all know that third quarter we call it the third quarter of doom, but no, the Knicks go out there and actually outscore the Spurs 33-25, which really gave us that big time lead, and we protected the lead all the way throughout the fourth quarter, which is a great sign from this Knicks team, because we need to be able to close games like this. You know that whenever the Knicks have a 10+ lead, it doesn't really matter to us Knicks fans. We know that they're probably gonna blow it eventually, but tonight they did not do that. They protected their lead, they played great defense, they scored timely buckets. It was an overall team effort. Even though RJ Barrett led the way, Mitchell Robinson did a great job. Even Julius Randle got going in that second half. Alec Burks had timely clutch shots. The only bad player I would say tonight is definitely Evan Fournier. He had a terrible performance tonight for the New York Knicks. Even quickly did his thing. D Rose, Obi Toppin his limited minutes. Of course, he's going to capitalize on his opportunities. So this is a really important victory for the New York Knicks, as we were coming off 3 games in a row of us losing. We fall to 11-12 after getting blown out by the Denver Nuggets at home. Now we're on the road. We're back to 500. We're 12-12. And listen, guys, I know that this season has been so up and down for the Knicks, and some Knicks fans are ready to just hit the panic button and say this season's a wrap. We gotta trade Randall. We gotta fire Thibodeau. We gotta reevaluate the entire roster. And I'm never that guy to just quickly react that way, because I understand that this is a long season and you can't really be that impulsively reactive. But at the same time, I don't blame some Knicks fans, because what we were watching the Knicks in the past couple of weeks has been pretty embarrassing in terms of what's happening, who's going to click, who's going to get hot. We have a slumping RJ, a slumping, this entire team was slumping, to be honest, the past couple of weeks in terms of them playing together. But tonight, we get RJ Barrett with the breakout performance, and I love it. If you guys watch all my videos here, I'm a big RJ Barrett believer, and I'm never really going to, bail on my RJ Barrett fandom because I genuinely believe in his ability to push through adversity. And even though he was on a deep slump, and I mean, when I say a slump, he was definitely in a deep slump. I know that. And it wasn't for a couple games. RJ was in a 13-game slump. Because prior to that 13-game slump, RJ went on a 5-game tear, dropping 20-plus points in 5 straight games, having a career night against the Pelicans when he absolutely destroyed them and single-handedly beat them. What did he have that game? 35 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 6 of 8 from 3. And that little glimpse of RJ Barrett this season gave me hope that RJ's going to get through this adversity, because we saw it last year too. RJ got off to a terrible start in his year 2 season for the New York Knicks, and he has that, that resiliency in him that I really genuinely believe that even though when he's in a slump, he fights his way out. He never gets too high, he never gets too low on himself, and you see it tonight. He goes out there in San Antonio and drops a career high 7 3-pointers, and he didn't shoot 10-plus threes. He shot 8 3-pointers and hit 7 of them. That is absolutely remarkable from RJ Barrett. He played with energy tonight. He played with a sense of urgency tonight. And he looked like a guy that is trying to prove to the coaching staff that he has a spot on this roster for the future. Because I know there's some Knicks fans saying they should package him in a trade. I know that some Knicks fans probably still think that about tonight because maybe his trade value goes up. But nah, in my eyes, RJ Barrett is a core piece of the future for this New York Knicks team. So RJ Barrett finished with 32 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 11 of 20 from the field, 7 of 8 from downtown. Basically did everything you'd ask for RJ Barrett. He got going from the perimeter, got his teammates involved, played really good defense. So shout out to RJ Barrett. Julius Randle, he had a very interesting game. He looked really bad in that first half, airballing shots, just lacking energy, not really looking good for Julius. And I was watching the game with my dad and my friends. I'm like, all right, this is just Julius's not night tonight. But that changed. He flipped the script in that second half. He played with energy. He looked like he, ticked it up a little notch. He makes a bucket. He's running up and down the floor. He has the ball in his hands. He's pushing the ball. And that's what I love from Julius Randle, is when he plays with that really top-notch energy, when he's really pushing the pace. So Julius ended up finishing with 15 points, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 1 block, 1 steal, 5 of 12 from the field, 3 of 5 from downtown. And Julius Randle was a big reason why we won this game. He played the closer role. Late in that fourth quarter, he was hitting some ridiculous shots, fading away from the baseline. One of those shots where we saw last year from Julius Randle, hitting with ease. So that's a very good sign that Julius is starting to get comfortable hitting his perimeter shots, hitting those contested mid-range jump shots. So great game from Julius Randle tonight, because he was a big reason why we were able to get the win late in that fourth quarter. Alec Burks, he's continuing to play well at that point guard spot. 18 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds for Alec Burks. 6 of 15 from the field. He's pretty much doing everything you want, playing really good defense, switching, really good communicator, driving to the rim, hitting his three-point jump shots. Everything Alec Burks is doing at that point guard spot is exactly what you need from that position. Evan Fournier, he definitely had a terrible game. He only had 7 points, taking really poor shots. He just has a really bad tendency to take those tough shots, but then sometimes he hits them. But overall, bad performance from Evan Fournier tonight, but that's okay, because we do not need every single player to have a career night in order for us to get W's, because we have a deep team. And just because Evan Fournier had a bad night does not mean we should not get the dub, because guys like RJ Barrett stepped up, and Julius and Mitchell Robinson. And that's what I want to talk about next, because Mitchell Robinson had 11 points, 14 rebounds, 3 blocks, and 2 steals off the bench, 4 of 6 from the field, 3 of 4 from the free throw line, which is very impressive for Mitchell Robinson. So Mitchell Robinson, man, he gets sent to the bench. You know that he's a guy that is really passionate about the game. You see that he's active on social media. He always, posts, whether he tweets something out or he puts on his Instagram story. You can tell that he's very emotional when it comes to his role on this team. When he had that crucial foul late in the fourth quarter that really cost us the game against the Brooklyn Nets, he went out there on Twitter and said that's not going to happen again. He held himself accountable for that. And for the coaching staff to go up to Mitch and say, hey, we're going to start Nerlens. We want to bring you off the bench. Obviously, that sparked a little fire for Mitch tonight, and he really looked like a guy that played with 110% effort out there, crashing the rebounds. I don't know the exact stat, but out of the 14 rebounds, at least 10 of them could have been offensive rebounds, because he kept getting those second chance opportunities. Emmanuel quickly, 16 points, 6 boards, 2 assists. He continuously just does everything you want from a backup guard, provides that energy off the bench. Derrick Rose had another great game, 12 points, 2 assists, 2 boards, 1 steal. Obi Toppin in a limited minutes, only 12 minutes of action, but he still gets 8 points and 3 boards of 4 of 6 from the field. So guys, the Knicks get the dub against the San Antonio Spurs. What's your thoughts about this win? Obviously, this is a big time victory for the Knicks on the road. We were in a really dry spell. I know that the Knicks have been struggling this year, and Thibodeau's trying to figure out who plays well together, and we're dealing with a little adversity right now. But I love with the resiliency and the toughness and the grit that we showed tonight against a really bad, well, I wouldn't say really bad. The Spurs are a young, inexperienced team with one of the best head coaches of all time in Greg Popovich. So there's a great victory on the road, and we got another big game tomorrow. Who we got tomorrow? We got the Indiana Pacers on the road tomorrow. We need to get that dub because as we find out, the Pacers are in rebuild mode and are actually interested to trade some players, which is interesting. We'll get into that in future videos. So guys, let me know your thoughts about the game in the comments, and like the video if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I greatly appreciate all the support, and let's go Knicks. Peace out.